Hello, hello, Marvel fans out there everywhere in the Marvel universe, in the ATL universe, hell, in the Philadelphia universe. I'll give you that one, Jordan. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is well. It's me and my friend Jordan Burton here. We are doing our Marvel series, and this week we are doing X-Men First Class. And hey, man, let's get to it. So, Jordan, last week we did Captain America, the First Avenger, and we are doing this sequentially as opposed to release date. So, chronologically, X Men First Class would be next. Obviously, it is about the X Men. And, Jordan, let's get into it. I tell you what, man, watching this film for the probably fourth or fifth time, I really found I found myself empathizing more with Magneto. Like I really, really the more you watch this movie, the more you understand, especially with everything that is going on now in the world, and we don't have to get into it. This show is not about politics, but I really connected with his character, and it's kind of sad, right? It's weird. It's weird, and I'll tell you why. Look, you grew up reading comics. I grew up reading comics. We all know who Magneto is. So, I find myself a lot of times, and maybe I shouldn't, but I find myself a lot of times going into the movies like, oh, he's a bad guy, or he's a bad guy. And he is, but sometimes it's not about good or bad. Sometimes it's about how this person got there, right? Um, and what's amazing, Jordan, is the first time we see him, obviously he's in a concentration camp. You know what's going on. It's World War II. It's awful. Um, they've put him in the special unit for kids with gifts because as he's being taken away, his powers kind of activate and he begins to this magnetic pull over the fence and he has to be knocked out to stop the process. And they bring him in front of Kevin Baker's character, who later we learn is Sebastian Shaw. And I tell you, what stood out to me is just what a sick bastard Sebastian Shaw was, and I say this with with in the context of this, right? He says to him, "Hey, I need you to move this," and he's like, I'm trying, I can't. And he's like, I tell you what, let's bring his mom in here, and he brings his mom in here, in the room, and he goes to hug his mom. He being Magneto, Eric Lyncher, I believe is his last name. Um, and again, watching this time, Jordan, my mom died last year, so this really, you know what I mean? This hits different. You get what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. I would have whooped Sebastian Shaw's ass if I was Magneto at that age. You wouldn't have been able to stop the it would have been on. It would have been on. It would have been on. Um, and so he can't move the metal logic, and he kills his mom in front of him, and all of a sudden his powers activate, and you see him crushing everything, and you see him crush the helmets of the guards behind him, and all the while Sebastian Shaw's not worried. He loves it. He's like, yes, yes, yeah, not knowing like, bro, you're in mortal danger. He's like, oh, Eric, you and I, we're going to have a great time. And I'm saying to myself, dude, that's how focused he is. That's how disconnected Sebastian Shaw is from humanity. You just killed this boy's mother. And this isn't a grown man. This is a boy. This is cruel. This is cruelty at its finest, right? And you're just sitting there laughing. You're so disconnected from humanity that you killed this boy's mother in front of him, and you're laughing at the response because it exceeded your expectations, right? Which really pissed me off. So I'm gonna shut up now. Give me your thoughts on that first scene, Jordan.
First off, I love that. Now this movie came out after, like, 10 years after the original X Men movie came out.
Yeah.
I love that the director did a near shot for shot remake with different actors and actresses of Magneto showing his powers in the concentration camp with the fence. A near shot for shot remake, incredibly done. And I like you. I always sympathize with Magneto. Outside of the first X-Men movie, like I, he's one of those characters that you don't want to see him like. You want to see some villains like die, but you don't want to see him die. We just want to see him trip a little, stumble a little. We don't want to see him completely fall because some of the things that he says can be right at times. Some of the things he says can be wrong at times.
Yeah.
And I think the older I get, and the more like shows and movies I watch of the X-Men, I realize that like Charles isn't even the most perfect person in the world. I side with him, but he's not like perfect. And I
No.
think what Charles um, and Magneto both give, like together, they can bring harmony with like mutants.
Right.
But because they just have different mindsets of everything.
And the way they see the world.
Yes. So you have movies like this where you need both of them together because there's a bigger threat that feels like humans should be enslaved. So Kevin Bacon, I want to say this right now. I don't care for Kevin Bacon as an actor.
Really?
I every time I watch him, I'm just like I always want to root against him. No matter what role he's in, I've never been a huge fan of him. I think my favorite role of him is where he plays himself in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Um, that's really it. Outside of that, I don't really care for him. I didn't really care for him in Friday the 13th. Didn't care for him in Footloose.
You didn't
Um,
like him in Footloose? What?
I
What
don't.
about A Few Good Men? Did you hate him in A Few Good Men?
I did not watch that. Is on my watch list.
What? Oh my God, Jordan, we got a wreck. Let me tell you something.
I
One of the best movies ever, Jordan, and no excuse. You look, I'm gonna give you 3 months because I know what you got going on.
mhm.
I
I
know
got a
what
lot.
I know you do. So I'm
I
not
got a
gonna.
lot of movies that I need
Yeah.
to watch. Like I haven't watched the Godfather trilogy.
Okay. All
I
right.
know I need to watch that.
So before wait, no, my friend. And you are my friend. So I'm as your friend, I'm gonna tell you. You can really skip three, okay? Three is an
I've been told.
abomination that should have never been made. Now,
I've been,
1 and 2, perfect. Matter of fact, I, I I can't remember another prequel and sequel that both won an Oscar. Both were deserving. Chef's Kiss, great movies. But Godfather 3, The Armpit. Okay? And that's being nice. That movie sucked. 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 Awful. Should have never been made. Okay? You know what else reminds me of that? What else reminds me of that stupid? I was talking. I can't remember it, but it should have never been made. It should have never been made. It should never been made, Jordan. Okay, so do not watch 3. Okay, or if you do, I'm telling you, it sucked. So at least you can say that you heard it from your friend T. Will, because it sucked. You're gonna regret it. It's a bad decision. It's like getting behind the wheel after you've had 20 beers. Nothing good is going to come of it. I'm just letting you know. Okay? But Godfather 1 and 2, masterpiece.
mhm.
Now, Jordan, you got to rectify that, brother. You got to rectify that. And you got to see A Few Good Men. But anyway, I'm getting off course. I tell you what stood out to me. Um, and it's funny. One thing I realize about myself, and I'm so glad that we're doing this, I judge people. And you really shouldn't. And when I say I judge people, I don't mean I judge people, but I'm going into this movie like, oh, he's a bad guy. You know what I mean? And I kind of tune them out, right? And as I'm going back and watching this and evaluating it, from a film perspective, it's totally different, right? So I'll get into why, but I there were things about Charles Xavier I didn't like in this movie. I really didn't like in this movie. You know what I mean? That I kind of didn't pay attention to because the first time I saw it, I'm like, good guy, bad guy, right? It's like who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. So I'm judging you, even though what some of these issues that they're talking about are really tough, right? And it's interesting. We see Charles Xavier the first time he meets Mystique, and she's playing his mom or whatever, and she doesn't know his mom, so she's like, "Oh, I'm about to make you some cake or dessert or whatever," and he's like, "My mom would never do that. I don't know who you are, but my mom would never do that. That would be the housekeeper. You know what I mean? And rich boy problems, right?" And he's like, "But you'll never have to steal again. Here you go." And automatically just low key adopts her without any paperwork, without contacting anybody, just adopts her on the spot, which is fine. Hey, it was the 60s, it was the 40s then. Um, but there are just things about how he saw Mystique that looking at it now, I did not like. I got it. I got the need to do it, but I just felt like we'll get into it. I don't want to spoil it, but it kind of. And I'm not saying I'm rooting for Magneto, but to your point, in some instances, he had a point. He really had a point, right? Even I don't want to ruin it. All right, so we see that scene. Obviously, Magneto grows up. We see Charles in the interaction with Mystique and how they meet. And then the next time we see them, Mystique is in college and Charles is obviously a professor. And I tell you what was funny was seeing young Charles get his flirt on, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, you have a condition or whatever, and this is the music, and he's using the same line. Matter of fact, he used the line on the one lady, and then when what's her name, Maura McTaggart, when
Yeah,
she
yeah.
shows up, he uses the same line on her in front of the lady. I was like, damn, Charles. Charles just didn't care. I was like, look, man, I
Mhm.
got a quota. I'm about to score. It is what it is. Let's go. Um, I thought that was funny seeing young Charles and carefree Charles and Charles out on a night on the town as opposed to old and mature Charles, who is a little different. But I thought that was funny. Talk to me about that scene. Give me your thoughts on that.
It when you go and watch all of the X-Men movies and you see how Charles like grows up, it's fun to have scenes like this, like seeing a young Charles Xavier like be a college student. I mean, we see him eventually drinking like I forget what he was doing. He was partying. He was partying like any college student would. And it's so fun to look back on those because if you go and watch like the Patrick Stewart X-Men movies, you're like, this guy partied back in
Right,
college,
right,
like,
exactly,
but he
exactly.
he did. I already love the initial. All right, I will say this: Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. I Jennifer Lawrence. I love Jennifer Lawrence in. I don't think I've watched a bad role for Jennifer Lawrence.
Right, right.
I just feel like Mystique was sort of a step down for her.
Okay.
And like these X-Men movies in particular put Mystique on a pedestal on the same level as Magneto and Charles.
Right.
And I just I have a hard time seeing that Mystique as a character being on that same level, but they did that because it's Jennifer Lawrence.
Right.
And I think this was the only movie where I really enjoyed Jennifer Lawrence's take on Mystique because she did take a step down to be Mystique. And I love her interactions with Magneto later on. I love her interactions with Charles.
Yeah.
She does like Charles. Charles sees her more as a sister. She
Right.
sees him more as like a potential partner, and I love their dynamic. Charles Charles wants to see everybody be the best version of themselves, and I don't think he realized, and this is where he's at fault in this movie and of future movies later on, especially with James McAvoy. And I love James McAvoy,
Me too.
another actor. I
Great,
don't think James McAvoy has had a bad role in his entire life.
great actor.
Um,
Hmm.
Everybody in this movie, Michael Fassbender, I I will put Michael Fassbender in my top 10 um, roles for a comic book movie.
Okay.
I really feel like I would put him over Ian McKellen, and I love Ian McKellen, but Michael Fassbender shows the perfect iteration of Magneto, and I love that how all these actors portray these roles in this movie in particular. But yeah, getting back to Mystique and Charles, their their relationship. I mean, this movie starts, and you kind of see how it will spiral based off the way this movie starts off.
Right.
And I think I don't think there's one person that you can say is at fault for the issues that happen. I think it was more of a mutual thing. I think Charles needed to be more aware and self-aware of himself and others. And I think Mystique or Raven uh, should have, I don't, maybe communicated more, because you could see where this was falling apart, and I think Magneto kind of like pushed Raven to be like,
Right.
see what he's doing.
Right.
So yeah, I love the way all these actors are played in this whole movie.
For me, what I did not like about Xavier was, she says to him, "Well, you know, why do I have to assimilate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have to, like, this is me. This is a part of who I am. Like, I understand if I have to go out in the public world and do that, but I'm at home. Why do I?" And he's like, "Put some clothes on." And he's like, "No, why are you that?" Like, clearly, when she's in her blue state, it bothers him
Yeah.
because he, at his heart, right now, is a conformist. Now, later on, in later iterations, Charles Xavier does a radical change. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? We won't get into that now. But, a lot of this movie was about self acceptance
Mm-hmm.
and the need to love yourself as you are, and the decisions that you have to make, and just how much are you going to conform, right? So it's funny. She says, "Well, even when he's flirting with the young lady, and he's talking about the metachromatic whatever condition and how she has one eye, it's a different color."
Mm-hmm.
And Mystique does it, and he gets so angry with her. He gets so angry. And, she's a young, teenage, impressionable girl, but she's fighting some things that other girls don't deal with because she has to hide herself from the world. And if your natural state is blue, your natural state is blue. You got to learn to love yourself. And I think, to me, in a lot of these interactions, he's really tone deaf. He's really tone deaf. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? And he's so focused on acceptance that he doesn't realize you're killing the person. You're killing her. You are killing her. And you know what I mean? When I first saw it, I was so good guy, bad guy. Oh, she's Mystique. I didn't take the time to listen. You know what I mean? Even Beast, who is going through the same thing, but Beast wants to conform, right? Even in their interaction, he says to her, "Well, I mean, as long as I have these club feet and you're in your natural blue state, you'll never be considered beautiful." And what a shitty thing to say to
Mm.
somebody.
Oh, that hurts
What a
every time I hear
shitty
it.
thing to say. Like and I'll be honest with you, that went through me, right?
Mhm.
That went, again, it's weird at how when you go into something with your eyes open, you see it totally different, Jordan. You see it totally different. Like again, I'm not saying that look, you can't just decide to go out and kill humanity and be like, if you're not with us, you're against us.
Yeah.
But I understood the sin. I really understood the sentiment. And you know what else is interesting is when they're playing chess. And I really like this scene. But Eric says to Charles, what do you say? He says, "You see every human as Moira,"
Mhm.
and Charles fires back and says, "And you see every human as Sebastian," and it's true, right? And even if you look at their beginnings, Charles is privileged. Charles is as rich can be. He's richy rich. He's he's akin to freaking Steve Jobs' son. Like he didn't want for anything. And Eric grew up a prisoner in Nazi Germany. Like the the two backgrounds are so diverse and on opposite ends of the spectrum that you can understand how their worldview would be different, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I what stood out to me, I at the end of the movie, I mean I'd already seen it. I'd already seen it, but I really understood why Mystique left. I understood. I understood totally. You know what I mean? And the thing that I think they really did well about this is that Jordan, when we're kids, we think that life is black and white, right? Good guy, bad guy. But oftentimes it's shades of gray, right? Even as she's leaving, she loves Charles. And you can see she loves Charles. And she says to somebody, take care of him. And he reads her mind and he says, you should go with him. He tells her to go. He tells her to go. And it's not a situation where, oh, he's like, I know you want to go. I understand you want to be seen. I understood. So that to me is what they really, really did a great job of that. I can relate to this from an African American perspective. In situations where I did have hair, long time ago. Where I might have peers who wore dreads, right? I know people to this day who, when they were going for different positions, were told cut your hair, right? And they have locks, and it's in a natural state, and it's clean, but they're told to cut their hair because certain folks are uncomfortable with that. And again, this goes back to assimilation, right? Conforming to fit into somebody's view of what you should be, right? So anyway, I'll shut up. I've been talking way too long, but that stood out to me. Let's get back to the plot and where we are.
Mhm.
Um, so we fast forward a little bit. Maura McTaggart, believe they're at the Hellfire Club. She walks in. Uh, she's kind of hot, by the way. I forgot. She's rather attractive. I forgot this when I watched it the first couple of times, but she's not bad. So she walks to the Hellfire Club. I'm sorry, I'm promised to General whoever. She walks in the back room, figures out how to activate the device, puts her in the room, and this is where I felt like this might be a little unrealistic because if you've never seen enhanced individuals and you see somebody do that, you're probably going to use the bathroom when you're so. I'm just saying, like your response is not going to be cool, calm, and collective, right? You're going to be like, you're going to at least let out an oh shit, like you're gonna do that. And yeah, Mike Acuna is back. Matter of fact, he hit another home run a few innings ago, Mike. So I did see that. But yeah, talk to me about how did you feel about that interaction when she sees what's taking place? I believe she sees Azazel and he teleports. She sees Riptide and the wait, did Riptide do his thing in that first scene? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he did. All right. So she sees all of this and she's like, calm, cool, collective. And I know you're an agent,
Hmm.
but most people would have let out an oh shit, Jordan. Give me your thoughts on that.
Um, I think when it comes to the whole movie, this scene, I think if you take it out, I don't think it really does all that much. I think there's a lot of filler stuff to like connect dots.
Hmm.
Um, and nothing really special. We get introduced to Zazel. We get introduced to Emma Frost, which, by the way, Emma Frost is a telepath. She
Yep.
can. I mean, I thought the first time I saw this movie, and every time I see it since, I thought I'm pretty sure Emma Frost would be able to know whether there is a person spying on them or not.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we all have that sixth sense where you feel like someone's looking behind you, and you look, and someone's looking behind you.
Mhm.
And I mean, she's an actual telepath, so I think she could have been able to see that.
Mhm.
Um, Nothing really comes out about this scene other than Moira finding out like who's behind what, and that there's people within the U.S. government being working for them too. So um, I don't really have much to say about this scene all that much. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we leave from there. You know, Mora calls her boss and she's like, yeah, General so and so was here and he disappeared. And he's like, are you smoking those funny cigarettes? Like, I'm looking at him right now. Blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. And it's so funny listening to like, you know, how they viewed certain things back then. Like, are you really doing that? Da, 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 da. I thought that was funny, right? And so of course she makes a decision to go and talk to somebody who specializes in this. And of course she goes to talk to Player Charles. You know what I mean? Player from the Himalayas. I mean, Charles is getting his Mac on. Like, matter of fact, and Charles was arrogant too. He said something, and she was like, "We can talk about it, so and so." And he was like, "No, we'll talk about it in the morning." And she's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Look at Charles! Look at Charles being all assertive, getting his Mac on." Okay,
Hmm.
Charles. And then that damn Mystique, the hater, comes in there and just she didn't have to do that. That was foul. That was foul. Charles was about to score, Mystique. That was foul. Okay, I can't support that. Okay, I did not know that Mystique was a cock blocker, but I'll use that phrase once. But it applies here, okay? Because Charles was about to score. Anyway, um, anyway, I think that's foul. That really offended me when I went back and saw it. I'm like, damn. But it didn't. Even in what she likes him,
Oh
she,
yeah.
I didn't realize that a lot of their dynamic was she low key was in love with him,
Yes.
and she's trying to be seen by him, which is why she does that, right? And I didn't realize she's basically saying, Charles, I'm a woman, I'm right here, and
Hmm.
why can't you see me? And I don't want to call it bias. I don't want to call it bias, but I gotta, and you can tell me what you think, but I feel like if her natural state was what she projects herself as all the time, Charles would see her differently. But on some level or another, because she's blue, he can't get past that. Now he'll never say that,
Hmm.
right? You get what I'm saying? Give me your thoughts on that. Give me what do you think about that?
I agree, and I think there's a little hidden message with this is like because he's not seeing her for who she truly is,
Right,
physically and emotionally.
right,
Uh, but uh, Magneto is, and that's why Magneto later on says, "I prefer the real Raven," and we get the
right,
iconic meme that now is used throughout culture, where he's like, "The real Raven, the
right,
real Raven, the
right,
real Raven."
right.
um, but and he sees her for who she truly is. But the thing is, she doesn't really look at Magneto like that, but she looks at Charles like that because
Right.
she grew up with Charles.
Right.
I mean, they were like adopted brother and sister,
Right.
but he I don't I don't know. Sometimes I think about this back. I go back and forth on this. I don't know if he would or wouldn't find her attractive, whether she was in the state or not. I think if you're from a writing perspective, I think yeah, he only finds her attractive
Mm-hmm.
in her like non-mutated state. Um, but if you're looking at Charles, like the character, especially James McAvoy's portrayal, I don't. I think as he got older, I think he'd be like I don't care what you look like. And I think this is just his current state. This it shows his immaturity, him
Right.
drinking, and this movie especially it projects his immaturity. But
Right.
as the movies go on and he becomes more mature, he
Right.
becomes this wise figure. I think I think eventually, even if you look at like Days of Future Past, which I'm going to briefly talk about it. You look at him in that movie; he's also immature in that movie, but that movie is the turning point where he becomes more mature. I
Right.
can't wait when we get to Days of Future Past because that movie's awesome. Um, so I think the way he's written, he is not he's supposed to only like her in this like fake state and
Right.
not her mutated state.
Right.
But like I said, it's I think it's very possible down the road that that would have definitely changed.
Oh, I mean, no, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. He's very, we don't realize that there's a saying that says the more you stare into the abyss, the more the abyss stares back at you. Meaning, whatever you're exposed to from a belief system perspective, if you're raised in it, some of it is going to seep into you. You can't help it, right? And when Charles is looking at her in her natural state, even though Charles is a good person, good people can have biases.
Mhm.
Good people can have biases. It happens all the time, right? It doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter. Good people can have biases. And
Mhm.
him looking at her in her blue state is really how man views mutants.
Mhm.
And to a certain extent, he has to be ashamed of himself, right? Because if not, he would have no issue with her, which is why I say, and you're 100% right. It is immaturity. It is immaturity. But I had never seen it like this until I went back to actually look at the film and see, look, a lot of this movie is about her just wanting somebody to see her, right? Because she's in love with Charles. Then she meets Beast, and for a time she's in love with him until he's like, well, in your natural blue state. And she was like, after that, I almost felt like she wanted to give him the finger, like, bro, how could you say what a dick move?
Mhm.
What a dick move. Like,
Mhm.
how could you say to some that's I'm not laughing at her, but that's an awful bro. You could tell he had no experience with women. Even if you thought that, you don't say that.
Mhm.
Because what you've done, bro, you will never score. Okay. And as we know, T Will is all about scoring. Okay. Take it from me, guys. It doesn't stop when you're married, right? You're always trying to score with your wife. And, there's certain words that if you use, you're going to be in the doghouse. Take it from somebody who has spent a lot of time in the doghouse. Shit, I got cable in my doghouse. I spent so much. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Women words mean a lot to them. And bro, I can hear it now. And in your natural blue state, your natural blue state, you'll never be considered beautiful. That shit cut me. I was like, oh my god, you did not say that, right? And that just
Crazy.
killed his
Like
chances.
it's like Beast does the same exact thing. he I think the difference is he doesn't know
He
her as
doesn't
long
know.
as
Right.
Charles does.
Correct. He correct.
Charles Charles and her both can talk about anything because they've known each other so long, and
Right.
then Beast is like so ignorant, and he's like well, a society won't ever accept us for our natural beauty, so we should just like be be humans, and it's like what?
Well,
Like he flat out called her not
ugly.
beautiful.
No, he called her ugly. He basically, you're ugly. You know in your natural state you're ugly, right? Then I was like, oh my, you will never get laid, Beast. I'm just
And
saying.
that's why it's so ironic that he turns into Beast because his fears ended up being projected outward.
Of
And
course.
now
Of
and
course.
he couldn't change back like
Right.
Mystique could.
And
So it's ironic with that.
it's very ironic. But I think the lesson there is be yourself.
Hmm.
I think that was the universe saying, CB, see, you know what I mean? And not that he did it to be devious. But there's a saying this is when you plot a course of revenge, plan two graves. Bro, you were so consumed with being accepted that now you don't have a choice,
Hmm.
right? You don't have you were so busy judging her on being blue. God has a sense of humor, man, because that was fun. That was fun. But I honestly, it's funny going back and watching these movies. And I'm glad you said watch it as though you were watching it for the first time. That shit was funny. When he woke up blue, I literally laughed. I laughed for about 5 minutes because I'm like, see, God does not like ugly, right? Because you told her, oh, she'll never be beautiful, and now, bruh, everything about you is blue. Everything from stern to everything, right?
What
Which
do you think about his makeup design compared to the makeup design in X-Men: The Last Stand for Beast?
uh, I, mm, I mean, I like this one, but you give me your thoughts.
I didn't really care about this one. It was the practicality of The Last Stand was awesome. Like that is when I think about the Beast outside of the Marvels post credit scene, because the post credit scene's basically CGI. The the practicality of that was so awesome, and they kind of did both practical and CGI for this, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. And then on top of it, because he's got to wear glasses, he's in Beast form but wearing glasses. He
Right.
just looks really funky looking. So
That
I
wouldn't
wasn't a huge
fit.
fan.
That wouldn't fit. Like, I mean, obviously, when you were human beast, well, human, whatever,
Mhm.
um, your glasses would not fit. You
Yeah.
you couldn't wear the same glasses because your head is probably increased by a factor of
Mhm.
at least 3 or 4. Your
Mhm.
glasses would not fit, right? But whatever. I mean, I'm not. I thought it. I thought he deserved it. To be honest with you, to be quite candid with you, I thought it was funny because you got exactly what you deserved because you were so busy on conforming that you kind of sold out yourself, right? Shakespeare says, "To thine own self be true." That's all I kept hearing throughout this entire movie. To thine own self be true, right? And I thought, wow, man, I thought that was funny. Like that, I was like, damn, okay, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna sneak into it after you basically call the girl ugly. And how about Magneto? So Magneto, for lack of a better word, is a pimp, right?
Mhm.
Magneto's a pimp. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why Magneto's a pimp. Okay, because right before, uh, Beast is about to kiss his thing. He says, if I were you, I mean, I'd be in my natural state. You know what I mean? Like what he said was just
Mhm.
so. I was like, I mean, right, and he knew what he was doing. He knew
Mhm.
what he was doing. He knew what he was. He was like, if I had you, I mean, this dude doesn't like you. He want to kiss you in this glorified state. Girl, I'll
Mhm.
take you as you are. If I were you, this is how I walk around, and it makes her think, right?
Mhm.
And man, he walks into the bedroom and she's in the bed and he's like, I don't have time to play these games with you. You know what I mean? I deal with grown women. You know what I mean? I don't deal with little girls. And of course, you know,
Yeah.
she transforms into older version. He's like, no, the real Raven. And I'm like, that is some pimp shit to say to some
Mhm.
like, no, girl, hey, you know what you look like. Take that wig off. Let's go. Take them eyelashes out. I want the real you. And
And
then
what's
he's
funny
like,
is during this scene, the older her is the Mystique from the X-Men trilogy.
right, right, right.
So it's the same actor or actress. So and I love that. I love that scene.
I did too. I did too. But I just thought like, and so of course, when he lays down with her and they do what they're gonna do, she's gonna fall in love with him because this is what she's wanted. She's wanted someone to accept her for her, right? And
Hmm.
I knew then when it goes down, and believe you, buddy, it went down. Um, I'm like, she's gone. Because Charles would never do that. She's been trying to get. You know what's funny? Men are so stupid. Men, men are so stupid. That was the other thing that like jumped out to me. I'm like, she's been trying to say this to Charles the entire time. Charles, she's been trying to give you some, and look at you, idiot. You out here. Look at you, man. You and Mystique could have got together, had some mutant babies that could probably read minds and shapeshift at the same time. Look at what you missed out on, Charles. Anyway, whatever. I just thought I was like, wow. But you know, we see that scene, and it's funny, but again, even in doing that and sleeping with her, there's a purpose for it because he's lining her up to come with him later. He's already looked at where this conflict is going to go, right? He's already looked at, and again, the thing about it is Charles should know this because Charles can read minds, but because Magneto is his friend, he doesn't see that, which is ironic because he sees everything else. But I guess at a certain point he stops reading his mind because he should have seen Magneto's intentions. And his intentions never were to capture him. His intentions were always revenge. And not only that, but he knew that when the whole thing went down, he knew humanity was going to turn on him. So he's already, while he's there, looking at, okay, when I got to leave, because I love Charles. Charles is my guy. But Charles isn't going to go for this. So when I got to leave, okay, who can I take with me? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is a move. Like other people play checkers, Magneto plays chess.
And
That's
that's what both Charles and him have been playing the whole time. I mean, it's an iconic trait that we see in all the X-Men movies
yeah,
is they're playing chess. And every time I see an X-Men movie and I see Charles or Magneto doing something, I'm always thinking that they are thinking 2 3 steps ahead every time because
yeah,
they're trying to play chess. And it's funny because at the beginning of this movie, when Magneto's going on the run to like kill people and that wronged him and try and find Kevin Bacon's character, um, the two people in the bar are playing checkers.
yeah,
So it's showing that like he is on a different level
yeah.
than these two people, and it brings my favorite quote of the movie when the guy playing checkers he gets stabbed in the hand and he can't like get free. He says, "Who are you?" And Magneto says, "Let's just say I'm Frankenstein's monster."
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender's delivery of all his lines
Oh yeah.
is just incredible. I love Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and I would love if they continued. They're not going to. They're going to recast him,
Yeah.
but if if they could continue using him as Magneto, I'd be all for it. I love it.
I think
Um,
I think he is outstanding as Magneto. I
mhm,
really do. The things that stick out to me is there was this in that same scene when the guy says I was just doing my job
mhm,
and he says okay and kills him. And then later when Charles and he have the interaction and he's like the guy was just doing his job and he's like you don't know how many. He looks at him like you don't know how many atrocities
Mm-hmm.
have been committed in the name of doing somebody's job. Like there's no excuse. You're a human being. You know what is wrong. You either make a choice to do it or you don't. But don't give me this. I was doing my job garbage. That's right and wrong, and this was wrong. And God damn it, you're gonna pay. Today is Judgment Day. Let me tell you something. When he killed Sebastian Shaw,
Mm.
I was happy. And I wasn't happy before. But going back and rewatching this movie, to quote my friend from The Wire, shit, he deserved it. I don't feel bad at all. I was like, yes, 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 kill him, rip his, and it was funny. It's a weird thing going on in that scene, and I know we're skipping, but it's a weird thing going on in that scene because he says to him, I agree with everything that you said. I agree with everything that you said. It is us against them, and ultimately they're going to come for us, and we are the next steps. I agree with everything you said, but unfortunately for you, you killed my mother. So
Mm-hmm.
here's what we're gonna do, and he feeds the line back to him that he said to him all those years ago. And he moves that quarter or that coin or
Mm.
whatever that was through
Mm-hmm.
his head. And I tell
Mm.
you what was great is that we see Charles Xavier in excruciating pain
Mm-hmm.
because he's in Sebastian Shaw's head. So he's feeling what he's going through. He's feeling it. And in this way, this is kind of like because Magneto knows this. So this is kind of like you see, Charles, this is what happens when people do shit like this. Like that's what I got from it. Like, I know you're there, Charles, but damn it. Not today. Not today. No, 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 no. There are two things guaranteed in this life, bub. Death and taxes. And this ain't taxes. Like that was just he deserved it. Okay? I don't care what anybody says. I know it's supposed to turn the other cheek, but he deserved it. And I just
Mm-hmm.
don't feel bad. On everything I love, I do not feel bad about Magneto killing him because you killed this boy's mother. You killed like it, and not that I don't love my dad. Okay, I love my dad, but when my mom died, it was totally different, bro. It was that's a that woo, woo, that's totally different. The cut, the wound, the scar, the scar tissue that you feel, that I still feel every day, totally different than when my dad died. Okay, so you killed this boy's, but he couldn't have been any more than 9 or 10, and you killed her in front of him. You were going to die, and damn it, you deserved it. And again, yes, I understand that Xavier is an X-Men, and yes, I understand that he's a good guy and all of that. But again, dude from The Wire, shit, he deserved it. He deserved it. I don't feel bad about it. Now, you tell me what you think.
That scene, the first time I saw that scene in theaters, I remember my initial reaction because I did not expect to go to a movie and see like all right, Magneto can control all metal. We know that, but to actually like he could do so many things to hurt people, and we see that in this movie. He pulls the tooth out of
Okay.
that dude's mouth. That was I saw that when I went back to rewatch it. I was like, oh no, like that hurt me. Um, and like I when I saw the coin, I was like, I don't know what he's gonna do. Like the first time I saw this, I was like, I have no idea what he's planning on doing. And then as soon as I see it slowly, you see the camera like look at the coin as it slowly spins towards him, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, and you just see it go through his head and then come out the other side while going back and forth between Charles and them, which earlier in the movie it hinted when Charles and um, and Magneto were like trying to unlock Magneto's powers that he doesn't need. Like when he's like, "Oh, shoot me! I can move the bullet," and Charles is like, "Well, I know you can block the bullet, but how can you be better?" And I love the chemistry that James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender have in this film
Second,
is
second to none.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like I love every single scene in every single movie that they are together in, and they always find ways to be better. So yeah, in that scene where James McAvoy's or when Charles is talking to Eric, he's like he was trying to have him remember an emotional moment, and Charles was feeling that same emotion when he was looking into his mind. He was seeing those memories, and you see Charles tearing up because he feels that emotion. He feels what's going on in his brain. So when you get to this scene, you understand that Charles is feeling everything going on and that coin going right through his head. And oh, it's excruciating. He absolutely deserved it. Um, it's that scene. That's a that's a top 10 scene for top 10 top 15 Marvel scene for me because I'll always remember the first time I see that scene of the whole movie. If someone mentions X-Men First Class, that's probably the scene that I think of first.
Well, I tell you what else is interesting about that scene. Charles can't let go, right?
Yeah.
Because understand, even though that helmet is off,
Mm-hmm.
if Charles lets go, Magneto is gonna get his ass whooped. He's gonna get his ass whooped.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, you're my boy. I'm gonna let you have this one. Because
Mm-hmm.
if Charles lets go, Magneto is going to die. Period.
Oh yeah.
Bottom line. So that's the irony of it is Charles has to hold on to him to protect his friend whilst his friend is killing this guy. And hey, the hell with him. He deserved it. Whatever. Let's do some let's do some housekeeping here. Mike says he's chilling. Kevin has that hate face talking about Kevin Bacon. He says Acuna is back. Deke says T Will. Deke, what it do? We got Miss Carey in the building. T Will and Jordan. Hey Miss Carey. And Carey says, hi everyone in the chat. I'm finally back. They tried to cancel me, but they couldn't. And she says, by they I mean T Will. And Deke says, we're speaking a second language. All right. And then Deke says, can't wait until the X-Men are back on screen in the new Marvel. Yeah, me as well. All right. So you mentioned Magneto doing something. I think the worst thing that I've seen Magneto do, and let me tell you something. Reading X-Men comics, growing up, X-Men comics was not for kids. Even though it was a comic book, it was not for kids. It was some adult shit going on. And I'm not talking about I'm saying the concepts. It was not for kids. And Jordan, I remember this like it was yesterday because this is some cold shit to do to somebody. So I think the Brotherhood of Mutants and the X-Men were fighting. And Wolverine did something. I forget what he did.
I already know where you're going.
Oh
I
yeah,
already know where you're going.
I know you do. I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
But Wolverine, yeah, I see. I already know.
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine did something, and I forget what he did, but he pissed because even though Magneto will fight with them, there's kind of a code that Magneto has that you know what, I'm not gonna kill y'all because y'all are mutants like me. We just did, but he broke his rule for this one. I forget what Magneto did or what Wolverine did, but he pissed Wolverine off. But Magneto says, okay, all right, Logan. He liquefies Wolverine's bones, which is the coldest shit to do. It's like if you were to touch me now and literally make all my bones liquid, I would turn into this mass of goo, right? That's the coldest shit to do to somebody that I have ever seen. I'm like that's cold. And again, this pisses Xavier off because Wolverine is like a son to him. So Xavier says, "Okay, well, since you're gonna do that to my guy," Xavier touches him and takes his mind, like took
Mhm.
his mind,
Mhm.
and Magneto walked around not knowing who he was for about like 2 years, right? And he thought he was a good guy. But anyway, whole thing was like you, if you run afoul of Magneto and piss him off, you that's you don't want to piss him off. That was just my point. You don't, because I remember reading that, and bro, I went back over that page like 3 or 4 times because I could not believe what I was seeing. Like, God damn. And Wolverine was just goo.
Mhm.
He was just goo, and he was goo for a while. Can you imagine? Like, bro, bro. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get off on a tangent. Just when you were like, he is. Yeah, I remember that. I
And for anyone who isn't really interested in the comics but wants to see more X-Men, I highly recommend the animated series. I watched reruns of the whole animated series when I was younger. It came out in the '90s, so I wasn't alive during in the '90s. But it's such a fantastic show, and does the best job at turning the comics into some sort of film or TV show. It's the best version. It is far above the movies,
yeah.
and I highly recommend it. And X-Men '97, which just came out, is a like sequel series to that. It's the beat for beat the same thing. I highly recommend it to anyone. It does feature a lot of adult content, and it's
Yeah.
not like adult content like Family Guy or The Simpsons level, but it's very mature topics that they do talk about, and that's why the X Men are so beloved. I mean, for years, I mean, there was parallels between the X Men and the civil rights movement and
Well,
the X Men
that's who
and
they
the LGBTQ
do, right?
community.
That,
Yeah.
but that. So Charles Xavier is Martin Luther King. His character was based off Martin Luther King,
Hmm.
and of course Magneto was based off Malcolm X. They've said this, like those were the. So you're 100% right. They were born in civil rights, and I think that initially when DC came out, DC was man versus nature,
Hmm.
and Marvel kind of was the first to come along and deal with like the human condition and human concepts and human flaws, right? And these are prevalent in the X-Men. Um, but yeah, so they take out Sebastian Shaw,
Hmm.
and then it's on because Magneto comes out there and he says, "Charles, they're about to turn on us. You know that they're about to turn on us. Check it out. Check it out for yourself, Charles. They're about to turn on us. It's us against them. What you gonna do, Charles? What are you gonna do?" And Charles is like, "No, we can't do that." And as they're having this discussion, they fire every ship in that navy on both the Russian side and the US turn and fire on them. And this is all because of William Stryker, that bastard. I hate William Stryker. I hate him. Oh, I hate him. But yeah, he did it. And they fire on them. And Magneto's like, nope, I'm gonna stop these and send them back at you. And Charles is trying to do everything he can to which because look, if you kill a bunch of ships, I don't care who you are, I don't care what they did to you. If you do that, you've just gone to war with mankind,
Hmm.
right? So you can't allow this to happen. But I think this is their internal conflict, and this is what they will fight about for years and years and years to come. Is the fact that Magneto sees it as, look, ultimately they're going to come for us anyway. We're the next step. Let's just go ahead and let's not fool ourselves. They are who they are. We are who we are. Ultimately, we're going to go to war. Let's just get them out the way. And Charles is like, no. Charles is trying to assimilate, which is very interesting because there's a story, and I forget the story. It's not Genosha, but they're on this new island. It's a living island. What is it in the comics,
Is it
George?
Genosha? Genosha.
It is Genosha. All right, they're on
Yeah.
the island of Genosha, and I forget what story it is, but Charles makes an announcement to the world. And he's like, "Look, we have these drugs that can cure every human illness, and we would have given them to you, but time and time again, you have spat in our face and come at us. So we're not going to give it to you. They're going to cost you. You're going to pay us a lot of money, and you're going to make us a legitimate state with the who is it with NATO, right?"
Mhm.
And he says, if you come after us, you're going to die. Which is a that's some Magneto stuff right there, right? But it's just interesting on the arc of the characters and where they go. And Charles's entire life, he's basically been trying to conform. He's been trying to assimilate. He's been trying to get along. And ultimately, he reached the point where, you know what, it's never going to happen. So, here you go. I just thought that was interesting. Give me your thought on that last scene. Give me your thought on, just give me your thought on the events of that last scene.
Well, I think this is Marvel's best way of like doing the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did a lot of research on the Cuban Missile Crisis. My grandmother's Cuban, so anything Cuba related, I've always done research on it. That's why I took 5 years of Spanish. And I went to Costa Rica. Like when it comes to anything Spanish, I'm always there. So yeah, Cuban Missile Crisis. I knew all of it, and I loved this way of spinning like the Cuban Missile Crisis into the Marvel universe. I thought it was really interesting. And I mean, this is the difference between Charles and Eric is that, I mean, these missiles are coming towards them. And Magneto sees it as like, all right, you're going to shoot me, I'm going to shoot you, and tries to spin those missiles back and attack them. And Charles knows that he doesn't want anyone to die.
Right.
And this is where situations like this I will side with Charles.
Right. Of course.
But they fired missiles at us, and I'm not going to side with Charles on that. So they did a great job with this movie of like, you can side with Eric and you can side with Charles, and honestly, nobody's gonna have a problem if you side with either one of them.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I think, better than Civil War when it comes to that, because with Civil War, I mean, you see the after effects, and that Captain America was right in the end.
Yes.
We see that in Infinity War, Endgame, that at the end of this, Captain America was right, even though there were sides in that. And you can completely different comic book storyline, completely different universe, but you look at Batman versus Superman, there was two sides to that.
Yep.
In the end, I mean, Superman was right. I mean, we don't know how the movies would have gone if if they continued with that storyline. But I mean, Superman was right. And with this, it's like you can side with Eric, you can side with Charles, and honestly, nobody's going to really blame you if you side with either one of them. So I love that. I think that's one of the most interesting parts of this movie is that the echoes of this movie show sides, and that we're kind of leaning towards Charles's side. But this movie in particular, there's two paths that you can go down, and it's ultimately Raven or Mystique that can choose. Is like we're like in her shoes, like we can choose what side to go with in this situation, and she ultimately goes with Eric in this. And this is after Charles gets Moira tries to shoot Eric, and obviously trying to shoot the guy who can move metal with his mind.
Bad idea.
Probably a dumb idea. So she tries shooting him, and he's like blocking it and stuff. He flicks one bullet, and it ricochets, and it hits Charles in the spine, and that's how we learned that why he's in the wheelchair,
Yeah.
is that it ultimately happened from this, which I think it's really great because that right there, every time, like if you're in Eric's shoes, every time he sees Charles now in the wheelchair, he's just
Remind.
going to think about
Yeah.
that and think, because I mean, you saw the emotion after Eric realized what happened. You saw the emotion in him,
Right.
and
Right.
that's the chemistry that James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender have. It's like they were so into the character, and he realized what he did. So most people in that instance, they wouldn't jump to like save that person. They'd be like walking away because they're like, I'm a monster. What did I do? But he
Yeah.
wanted to be there for his friend.
Right.
And
Right. And they are friends. And
yeah,
I look at what I think they did a great job of is showing that in some instances there's a clear delineation of right and wrong. But in instances like these, not so much, right? And sometimes friends are on opposing sides. Charles and Eric are brothers. He even said that they are brothers. They're not friends. They're brothers. Like you couldn't be. And so yeah, when he sees that, it sickens him. He's hurt. He immediately jumps and pulls the bullet out, and it's trying to like. And then when he sees her, he's like, "You did this," and he's
mhm,
about to kill her. He's got her by the throat. He's about to kill her, and
mhm,
Charles says, "No, Eric, you did this." And then the guilt comes over him, and he lets off of her. But Charles does that because he recognizes he's about to kill her. She's about to die. Like that to me is how Magneto shows love. Like it's not a whole lot of folks that Magneto would do that for, but he and Charles, they are brothers. And in this moment, he feels like, well, you fired the gun. You did this. You got to die. You are about to go into the afterlife, my friend. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, great movie. Not a good movie, great movie. They did a great job again, the theme of this movie. A lot of the themes of this movie are self love, self acceptance. That the fact that you have to accept yourself, even if the world doesn't accept you, you have to accept you. You have to love you. You have to, and you have to love all parts of you, the good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly, whatever you want to call it. You have to love you. I think that resonates. um and there's some, and to not, I think what else stood out to me is that Charles was so biased and he doesn't even know it. Charles is unaware of how, in a way, he's no different than the people who hate mutants, because he's so interested in assimilating that he won't even let Raven like walk around the house in her blue state. And he was wrong for that. Like somebody's at home, you know what I mean? You can't, no, you can't do that, right? That's like if I'm like, oh Kim, you gotta wear makeup 24 hours a day. That's just stupid. That's ridiculous. Right? And I just I think that, look, this movie was well done, man. Going back and looking at it, it was well done. I'm glad we did. And we're at the point now where I think the next film to come out is going to be sequentially is Fantastic Four, right?
yeah. So
So
this movie took place in 1962 primarily.
yeah,
Um, and for those watching, this is not the same universe as Captain America: The First Avenger.
right.
That's that. Think of that. That is the main timeline. This is a completely different
616.
universe. So, Fantastic Four is going to be the next movie. We don't really know what year, but we know it's the 60s that it takes
Right,
place. We
right.
don't really know when. I'm assuming it's mid to late 60s.
Yeah.
So the next movie we'll be watching is Fantastic Four. So we'll take a break until that movie comes out. And That movie also takes place in a completely different universe. It doesn't take place in the main timeline. Even though if you've seen our Thunderbolts review, just go look at that. Because we end up talking about that. We have basically three timelines right now. The next movie will be Fantastic Four.
Yeah. So the one with Captain America is the 616 universe. I don't know what the other two are, but I know the main one, the main Marvel universe is 616. So we're gonna take a break from Marvel, and the next 6 weeks we'll be doing DC. So for the first 3 weeks, we'll be doing the Batman Begins trilogy, which was great, by the way. And then we'll do Zack Snyder's. What are we doing? We're doing
Zack Snyder's. We'll call Zack Snyder's trilogy because it's
yeah,
like Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Zack Snyder's
yeah,
Justice League.
Justice League.
Forget about Joss Whedon's Justice League. That no.
Yeah, no, no, not at all. Dixon Way says the name is Charles Xavier. Oh, go fuck. My name is go fuck yourself. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that was
That was
awesome scene.
And that was true Wolverine. That's exactly what he would say. That is verbatim. Like, you know what I mean? That's one of my favorite lines. But what I used to love when Wolverine was going to kill you in the comics, he had this line, and he would say, "There are two things in life that are certain, bub: death and taxes." And then those claws would come out. Shh. And this ain't taxes. And that meant your ass. Like if you heard that, it was done. He was going to slaughter some folks. So that was definitely true Wolverine. Well, hey, Jordan, I truly enjoyed this. Dixon Way, we got to get you on one of these, man. I know you are a Marvel enthusiast. I've not watched Andor. Jordan, have you watched Andor?
That was so. I just finished. For those who don't know, I was just talking to T. Will before the show. I just finished Young Sheldon. That is the next show that I'm planning on watching is Andor. I've watched all Star Wars, everything. I have not watched Andor, so I'm gonna try and watch that next.
Well, maybe look at some point this year, maybe we can do a series on Andor, and check it out. But I'm not up to date on all my Star Wars. I'm gonna tell you, you'd be leading that one, Jordan. I'm definitely gonna be in the background, like like you're gonna be leading that one. Let's see. Dixon Way says it's a slow burn, but awesome. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
that's what's up. That's
So what's your score going to be for X-Men First Class? What's your rating?
I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Excellent movie. I think, this is true to the comic. X-Men has always been more about the human condition, whether it's human bias, human fear, just the things that we do to people or entities that we fear or that are not like us. And that of course resonates with me. So yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. What about you? What say you?
So in my ranking, if you asked me this a year ago, I would have given it a 9 out of 10. But I've rewatched it twice since then, and I mean, I always thought highly of this movie as one of the best X-Men films. I give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I get it. In fact, of all of my Marvel movies in my whole list of ratings, Captain America: The First Avenger is here, and the next film in my ranking is X-Men First Class. I think both do, like I said in the Captain America review, I think both movies do a great job doing a period piece. They don't just throw it in your face that it's the 60s. There's a couple issues that don't really make much sense, like the flashback scene where we see Charles and Raven meeting for the first time. There's a picture of Albert Einstein. That was in 1944 that scene was taking place, but the picture was from 1947, which didn't happen yet. So that didn't make much sense. There's a scene later on where there's a bowl of M&Ms, and I think blue M&Ms didn't come out until a few years after they
Ah,
added
okay,
in. So there's a
okay.
lot of issues, and you need to get your history right, and that's what Captain America: The First Avenger did so well. Um, for X-Men First Class, like I said, it's the next movie right after in my whole list. I gave both an 8 out of 10. I think this is a very good movie.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, and at times can get boring if you're rewatching it. So it's not a very rewatchable film,
Mhm.
but it's a movie that if you sit down and watch, you start to understand each character. It's a very emotion. It can resonate with a lot of people, and I think it's a very good movie.
I think it's great for me. And this is going to sound like a ridiculous statement, so I'm going to warn you before I make it. It's going to sound ridiculous, but I had a stroke about 11 years ago, and so my short-term memory is not the greatest. And you know this because you work with me, so I'm always like, what's that Jordan? What's that guy's name? Da 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 da. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw it in 2011 prior to the stroke. I had forgotten so much about this.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to go back and watch it, Jordan, it was great. Because it was like, not that I'm watching it for the first time, but kind of like I'm watching it for the first time, but it's 14 years later. I'm a whole lot more mature. And so I can see it differently. And I really enjoyed it because it was just, this movie was not about music. Again, this movie is about self acceptance, right? You could throw this to civil rights, you could throw this to LGBTQ, whatever you want to choose. It's about, look, you got to love yourself because everybody's not always going to do it. And some people are going to hate you for being you, right? And at the end of the day, guess what? You still got to do what's right. Even though sometimes these people hate you, even though they might have fired at you, you got to do what's right. So there's a lot going on. So yeah, I loved it. Definite 8 out of 10, man. And hey, I'm looking forward to the wait. What did Dixon Wayne says? He says, "Okay, fellas, going to eat. Have a great stream, fellas. Braves won 7-1, and Ronald hit another home run. Yes, he did. All right, Dixon Way. Hey, enjoy yourself, brother. Thanks for joining us. Um, what the hell was I talking about? Now I forgot. Short-term memory. There we go. That is finest. Exhibit A. Anyway, man. Oh yeah, Batman Begins. You and I were talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the best Batman series. Hell, I think it's the best DC series ever done. Like that trilogy to me, you could argue the only other trilogy from a superhero perspective that was as good to me was Captain America. But that Batman begin, oh, that was great. So anyway, we'll tackle Batman Begins next week, which I'm personally excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um and yeah, man, let's get together and do it. Final thoughts?
Yeah.
Anything?
Um, I love X. So the next time we talk about Marvel, so there's 6 weeks in between now and when we see Fantastic Four.
Yes.
During the 3 weeks, like we said, we'll do the Dark Knight trilogy, and then we'll do the Zack Snyder trilogy. Um, Fantastic Four. I'm I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous for Superman and Fantastic Four just because we haven't really gotten a great Fantastic Four movie. And Superman, it's one of those things. If you don't nail a Superman movie, you're gonna get crucified.
Mhm.
So I'm nervous about Superman. After I saw Thunderbolts, I was like, okay, I can't wait for Fantastic Four. So I'm really looking forward to Fantastic Four. Um, I know Carrie was asking if we saw the trailers for Superman and Fantastic Four, the new ones that
Yeah.
came out. I kind of have a rule, and I think I've told you this that I after the first trailer for movies, I don't watch any of the other trailers. I might accidentally watch them if I'm watching TV, but I didn't see anything. All I know is Galactus is going to be in it. Galactus is awesome. I had a huge Galactus action figure. It was one of those ones where you bought different action figures, and it had like pieces of Galactus, and I collected the whole set. Got Galactus built. So I'm a big Galactus fan, and he's not a cloud this time. I can't wait. I'm so hyped. We're getting Silver Surfer. I love the whole Fantastic Four cast. I'm really rooting for this movie. I can't wait. I can't wait for us to review that movie.
I'm a little nervous about Fantastic Four. I'm not nervous about Superman because I think they're gonna nail it. Like you, first off, you got so many different characters. You got Mister Terrific, you got Superman, you got Luthor, you got Brainiac. Like you got a bunch of. You got Pluto or whatever the dog. What's the dog's name? Crypto.
Crypto. Yeah.
You got. I mean, I don't think they're gonna mess with that. Like I think that Superman may be the movie of the summer. But I'm a little nervous about Fantastic Four. But I tell you what's interesting about Galactus. For years, I hated Galactus. For years, I did because he shows up, he eats planets. What are you gonna do, right? Like I hated the guy until was it the theory of everything, the the question of everything.
Yeah, it was something like it was like the theory of it, something like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And we find out in this so Galactus dies basically because in the universe that he was in, the Eternals, some kind of way they got out or whatever, and somebody killed Galactus. And Galactus' purpose in the Marvel universe is to eat planets, but he's eating planets not to kill life, but to prevent the Eternals from getting out of hand, right? And it's not until we see this story that you're like, oh, okay. Now it sucks for you if you're on one of those planets, but he is a necessary evil, right? So I thought like because for years I was like, why does he show up? Like I hate this guy. Like he just shows up, eats planets, you're gonna die. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Most people don't have $200 million to go, I don't know, to Mars, right? So you're just done. If Galactus shows up, you're done. You're not gonna bargain with Galactus. You're not gonna give him a Big Mac and tell him to go eat another planet. You're done. There's nothing you can do. And I hated him for that until it comes out in this story that in this one particular universe, what's happening is you have Eternals that have just taken over, and they're going from universe to universe, just killing everybody because Galactus died in their universe. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Um, I'm looking forward to the Fantastic Four. But go ahead, you about to say something?
That and getting back to your point about like are you going to offer him a Big Mac or something?
Right, right.
I was talking to you about this before. I think a Silver Surfer movie would be incredible, and I think with the right like storyline, it could be a great movie because he is someone who offered Galactus something and
Right.
sort of sacrificed his own life to his service
Right.
to save
Right.
everybody else.
Right. To become
So yeah,
yeah.
if they could, I guess every time I see Silver Surfer, I'm like, it would be if you got a Norrin Rad movie of the Silver Surfer, I would be all for it. I'd have T-shirts made. I'd be wearing hats. I'll be in the director's chair. I'll go to school for directing. I'll write this script. Come on, I'm ready. I would absolutely. I've already thought about this. The whole movie. I'd be game for it. That's my number one movie. If you
You
ask
might
me,
have to direct it because I don't think Marvel would do it. You might have to do exactly what you said because I don't
oh
think
yeah,
Marvel would do it.
I would do it in a heartbeat. If someone asked me, okay, you can make a movie about one character of the entire Marvel universe, who would you make a character of? I would say that Norrin Rad Silver Surfer.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, and you can pick a universe.
Hmm.
Who's the character, DC or Marvel, that you personally identify with the most?
Spider-Man in a heartbeat.
Okay,
When I was so I grew up with Tobey Maguire's trilogy. I went to the theaters to see Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. And I remember going to Walmart and seeing the poster. But I also watched the animated series from the 90s. I had VHS tapes watching that when I was younger. And I grew up. I was a nerd. Like I was really smart. So like I identified with Peter Parker so much, and and like what he had gone through with life. Like he didn't grow up like really wealthy like Batman or Iron Man. He was just a normal dude, a normal nerd. And that's kind of how I looked at myself. Um, and when I was younger, I wanted to be Spider Man. And as I get older, I realize how much I want to be like Peter Parker. So it's Spider Man has always been the number one character, comic book or not, that number one character in books or in media at all that I have related to the most. I love Spider Man. I had posters, I had drawings of. I have Spider Man stuff in my room right now. So yeah, Spider Man is my number one.
So for me, it's Batman, because Batman is truly flawed. If you read any Batman comics, you know Batman is a step away from the folks that he goes after. Batman is not wrapped too tight, and
Mhm.
I can relate. I can relate to that. I can relate to being flawed, but still going out and doing the right thing anyway because it's a code, right?
Mhm.
And I try and live by a code. So for me, it's Batman. It's a little of the Hulk. You know, I can relate. I can relate to the Hulk. I got a bad temper. I got I've gotten I've gotten better as I got older. But Jordan, when I was
T
your
wheel
age,
smash.
let me tell you something. When I was your age, Jordan, my temper could clear a room. Like it was. Oh, anyway. So I could relate to those two characters because they're tortured souls, right? Both of them tortured souls. Um, but I love Batman because even in spite of everything, there is a code that he will not break. And I think in life, you got to have a code. You got to have something that you live by. You got to have something that you're willing to die for. Because if you don't have a code, you're just out there, man. So
Mhm.
that's it for me. Those are my thoughts on that. Hey, man, as always, Jordan, I appreciate you, brother. This is so much fun. You
So
make it fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this with you. I can't wait to get into Batman Begins. Oh, I can't wait. I
mhm.
cannot wait. I'm gonna probably watch Batman Begins 4 or 5 times because hey, I that is one of my favorites. So I mean, I'm gonna be watching that anyway. But I can't wait, man. So we'll get together next weekend, probably around what 7? You good with
Yeah.
7?
Oh
All
yeah.
right, we'll get together around 7. To everyone in the chat who joined us, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that. Oh, Christy Lewis in the chat. Oh, she says, tell us the order of the movie. Oh shit. Okay, let
I,
me.
I can be in charge of that. I can.
Yeah,
So
you got that. You got that.
I
You
got
got.
a whole spreadsheet of everything Marvel related. Um, so if you want to keep up with what movies we're watching, we're gonna watch Batman Begins this week. We're gonna start the Batman Begins trilogy with Batman Begins this week, Dark Knight next week, and Dark Knight Rises the following week. If you want to keep up with our Marvel order, go see Fantastic Four when it comes out opening weekend. And that because either way, that would have been the next movie we were going to watch,
Yeah.
regardless, because that's the next movie in order. Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, I can make a spreadsheet and we can look at it like during shows and stuff, and we can look at that. Yeah,
Do we really want to do that to our audience, Christy? That's a big
it's
ass
really
spreadsheet.
quick.
That's a huge
It
spreadsheet.
is
Oh my
a
god,
really quick like graphic of like what's
Christy,
next.
a big ass. Let me tell you
It
something.
is.
I have worked in corporate America for the better part of 30 years. I've never seen a spreadsheet that big. Okay. I used to be a corporate trainer for some years. I work in the tech world now. I have never seen a document that big. That document is huge. That document almost needs a table of contents. That's how big it is. And you know what's it's interesting. I'm glad Christy brought that up. I didn't realize when you get into if you're really gonna do Jordan, if we really did all the shows, if we did all the shows and all
Mm-hmm.
the movies, it would take us 2 years.
Hmm.
Like there's so much content out there of
Yep.
Marvel. We're not gonna do. We're gonna omit some things, and we'll get
Yeah.
into that as we get into it. You know what I mean? Because things that are not crucial to the MCU, we're just not gonna do them because we want to get through this in about a year. We don't
Hmm.
want it to take 3 years, right? But the point is, the spreadsheet encompasses everything. Christy, that's a big ass spreadsheet. But what we'll try and do is, Jordan, can we condense it maybe and just
Yeah, we can. We'll do like I'll do like the next 5 films, next five
okay?
to ten films will or shows that we'll watch, and not all of them are going to be very good. Like even though the next one we're going to watch is Fantastic Four, you know what the next one after that is?
No,
X Men Origins Wolverine. But my mom loves that movie, and I went back to rewatch it, and I'm like, it's not as bad. It's bad, but it's not as bad as I initially thought about it. I have a lot of issues with it, but Hugh Jackman is just he always brings his A game every single role he's in. So, um,
give me
yeah,
give me
that's the next one.
give me your top 5 worst Marvel movies.
All right. Well, I have that list. Let me see real quick.
I know what mine are. I know what mine are. Oh Lord Jesus, I know what mine are.
All
But
right, my bottom. How many do you want?
just give me 5.
Give me. All right, 5. All right. I'm gonna include shows on this because it's like the whole
Okay.
universe.
Okay.
So my fifth worst is we were just talking about this last week.
I know it.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Daredevil.
The movie.
Daredevil.
Ben Affleck.
The movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Ben Affleck. I give that 2.5 out of 10. Um, Next is She-Hulk at 4. She-Hulk Attorney at Law, 2.5 out of 10. I want to be very clear. When we go to She-Hulk, I love She-Hulk. My favorite female comic book character ever. I want to be very clear on that.
Okay.
So I think this show did her terribly.
Yeah.
3, The New Mutants. That's
Oh
in the
God.
X-Men.
Oh, that was awful. That was awful.
Give that a 2 out of 10. Um, just it's pretty bad. It's just boring too. 2, another same universe as Daredevil, Elektra. Um, I give that a 1.5 out of 10.
Damn.
Yeah, and this one angers me the most because it has one of my favorite actors of all time, Samuel L. Jackson. Secret Invasion.
Secret
I
Invasion.
gave that 1.5 out of 10. I I gave the finale a 0.5 out of 10.
Damn.
I
Damn.
think the finale was the worst Marvel anything ever.
Damn.
I would rather watch so many other things than Secret Invasion. But yeah, Secret Invasion 1.5 out of 10. I don't rate anything 0 out of 10. The lowest I'll give anything is 0.5 out of 10. And there are other Marvel movies. Like this is the main timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything's connected. But like I have Madam Web as a 0.5 out of 10.
Yeah, Madam Web sucked. I was gonna, yeah. So Madam Web would be in my top 5.
Yeah.
Thor 2, the Dark whatever. Oh, that was awful.
When we rewatch that, I think you might have a difference of opinions so we're gonna go through everything. That movie in particular, I gave it a negative review. That movie in particular, when we get to that, I think you're gonna have a change of heart with that movie because I did. I gave that was like bottom 3 for me for a very long time, and I've been like, I'm pretty harsh on this movie. It's especially with what we've gotten over the last couple of years. I'm
Yeah.
like, it wasn't that bad. So I can't wait for us to get to that.
I have to see that, man. That movie was bad. The Eternals. I still have not gotten through the Eternals. I just finally fast forwarded to the end. I could not digest it. It was that bad.
Yeah,
That movie was awful.
it's
That
towards
movie
the bottom for me.
that movie was, I would give it a 0.5. That movie was doggy doo. And then you know what's funny? I actually like the Ben Affleck. Yeah. So I'm a Ben Affleck person. I like Ben Affleck. I really do. I like it, especially in the new one, The Accountant too. I think
Mhm.
he does I think he does the greatest job of portraying a character with autism. Like that was great. I went and saw I think Maya and I went and saw it last week. You and I were talking about that. But I love Ben Affleck. I do. I love him as Batman. I just love him as an actor. Um, so maybe I can't be objective when it comes to Daredevil, that movie, right? Because I've always loved it. Now Elektra, yeah, you keep that. Whatever. I don't care. But 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 the Daredevil with Ben Affleck, like I love it. So like I wouldn't. I mean, in no way is it in my top 10, but I wouldn't put it like no. Like New Mutants should have never been made. That was awful.
Yeah,
Madam
that is
Web,
true.
we should have been paid to watch that. Like that
Mhm.
was horrible.
So
I
bad.
haven't seen Craven, but I heard it wasn't much better either.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think Morbius and Craven are kind of on the same wavelength.
Yeah, I don't like Fox should just really contract Marvel to do their movies. Like they should bring over Marvel directors. They should have Marvel do it because they outside of Spider Man. Wait, is that Fox or Sony? I get
Sony.
okay. Yeah, Sony should really. That's right because Sony should really contract Marvel to do all of their movies because they do a terrible job. Characters outside of Spider Man,
Hmm.
they really mismanage them. Like
Hmm.
they're just bad. So I don't know. Just my thoughts, man. But look, I gotta run. Gotta go do the honeydew list and do some family stuff. Jordan, this has been great, man. Tell these
Oh,
folks where they can find you.
you can find me at Ultegacy, Ultegacy. I do everything sports related. In fact, I have a keeper. I have a dynasty draft that I'm doing with A1 Forever
That's
and
right.
in there. We have that in 46 minutes. They wanted me to stream that, but Chris, of course, Chris wants me to stream that so he can stream snipe me and try and steal some of my picks. But
Ah,
yeah, I was like, I can't do that. I can't stream this. Um, but yeah, we're doing that. And yeah, just keep an eye on us. We're posting about the Stanley Cup Finals and NBA Finals right now.
good deal, man. Well, you and Chris are both my friends. You're both my brothers, so I can't pick against either one of you. So I wish you both good luck. I wish you both good luck. In whatever you do. I hope you finish as a tie, which is the lamest shit ever. But you guys are both my friends. I can't pick. I'm not gonna pick. So whatever. Hope you guys finish in a tie, and you both win whatever the hell you win. Everyone in the chat who joined us, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Look, we just appreciate you coming and spending some of your time with us. We really do. We appreciate it. Thank you. You could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be with us, and we thank you for that and appreciate you. And look, we do this because of you. So thank you for joining us. Last but not least, hey, I want to thank God. I appreciate, thank you, God, for waking me up this morning and all that you do for me. Because there's so many folks that didn't wake up today and every other day. Hey, I want to thank Jack Spade and thank Eric Parker and Jordan. Thank you for doing this with me, man. This is so much fun. I appreciate it. I can't wait to do it again next week. And hey, buddy, I will see you then. Everybody in the chat, good night and go Marvel.